All right. Good morning, guys. It's May 17th, which means May 19th. In a couple of days is our fifth parade we're super excited about. So we'll go around and do our introductions. We'll talk about the parade for a minute, and then we'll go into some updates. So I'm Stephanie Cavino from the Blackstone Watershed Collaborative. Kaylee.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kaylee McLaren. I'm the Restoration Coordinator at the Blackstone Watershed Collaborative.
Aaliyah.
Hi, I'm Aaliyah Kessa. I'm the Conservation Agent in Shrewsbury.
Greg.
Greg Dorschler, Intercollegiate Outdoors Coordinator with the Greater Worcester Land Trust.
Dan.
I am Dan Giza. I'm a senior consultant and fishery biologist at Verdantis Flow Labs in Holden, Mass. We're doing some fish passage work in the Blackstone, and then I'm also a Tatnack Brook Watershed Association member.
Perfect, thanks. David.
David Tapscott, Uxbridge Board of Health, and I'm the MVP 2.0 core team for the Mumford River region.
Thanks. Sarah Bertrand.
Good morning, I'm Sarah. I use she, her pronouns. I work as an education coordinator with Mass Audubon and based out of Broadmeadow Brook Wildlife Sanctuary in Worcester. I apologize, I may have to leave the meeting early, but do want to just say we are potentially driving a van with extra seats to the fish parade if anyone wants to travel with us from Worcester.
Thanks, Sarah. We're very excited to have your kids march with us. Donna.
Donna Williams, Blackstone River Coalition and Blackstone Heritage Corridor.
Thanks. Heidi.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Heidi Ritchie, Director of Policy and Advocacy at Mass Audubon. I'm also Vice President of Advocacy at the MACC, Mass Association of Conservation Commissions, on their Board of Directors. And I serve on the Board of Directors of the Mass Rivers Alliance as well. But I'm primarily here for Mass Audubon today.
Thanks. Vincent.
Hello. Vincent Ties, Water Coordinator for Town of Shrewsbury.
Thanks. Amanda.
Hi, I'm Amanda Coffier. I'm a lab tech at Upper Blackstone Clean Water.
Nick.
Good morning. This is Nick Cohen, Environmental Planner with the Horsley Witten Group.
Thanks, Nick. Carrie.
I'm Carrie Banks. I'm with the Massachusetts Division of Ecological Restoration, and I'm the Capacity Building Branch Manager.
We're very excited about that new branch. Thanks. Yeah. Allison.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Allison Hamill from Rhode Island DOT Environmental Division.
Thanks. Peter.
I'm Peter Coffin. I'm the coordinator for both the Blackstone River Coalition and the Blackstone Headwaters Coalition, and I'm on the CONCOM in Mendon.
Thanks. Sarah Plotnicki.
Good morning. My name is Sarah. I work at the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission as an Assistant Resiliency Planner.
Thank you. And Adam?
I'm Dr. Adam Menard. I'm the Town Planner for Auburn.
Thanks. And did I miss anybody? Okay. People always go in and out a little bit there. Great. So I'm going to share my screen. You would think that we would all be total pros at this, but it always takes them. We got out on the river on Wednesday, which was really nice. We weren't too sure about the weather, but it ended up being quite pretty. And it's our first time really doing a paddle in the river in about 2 years, because last year was so much CSO and so much rain that we couldn't really get out. So we did about 6 miles from Manville, Rhode Island, the front of the Blackstone, down to Pratt Dam. The rain caught up with us and we kind of called it a day. We had a fun little visitor. If you can see my mouse here, this is Emily Vogler from RISD, and this is her little dog Oliver that came with us, which was pretty fun. It was the first paddle. But really great to be able to just see the conditions and see the very different water levels than that we had this year versus our drought in 2022. And we are prepping to plan another big paddle down the river. We haven't totally explored what that's going to look like in terms of public events yet. But just so you know, if you want to save the date, July 11th to 14th is going to be that paddle. And we do know at the end of the paddle on the 14th, we'll probably have another public paddle opportunity again. And we have spoken with the Narragansett Brewing down in Providence that we did last year or last time. And they've agreed to host a reception for us again. So come join us for a paddle, get a beer at the end, and we'll probably set up some events around that. So looking forward to it. And this is what we keep talking about. It's definitely been, Kaylee and I have been focused on this all the time. Kaylee should have included a picture of her living room floor, which is just covered in cardboard and fish decorating supplies right now. But our second annual fish migration parade will be this Sunday at Slater Mill in Pawtucket from 1 to 4 p.m. So we're going to have food trucks and face painting and crafts. We have about 14, I think, different organizations signed up to table. So it should be a really fun event. And then we're going to transition to having drumming and dancing with our different Indigenous partners, including the Asanimisco Nipmuc Band and the Narragansett Indian Tribe. So it'll be really fun to sit and listen. And also there'll be some interactive dances where they'll have us kind of get up and go in a circle like you can see in this picture and kind of get everyone moving. And then we'll have a couple of speakers, including the mayor of Pawtucket, Mayor Grebian, as well as Representative Gabe Amo, supporting Fish Passage and just talking about that a little bit. And probably quite a few of you have heard from us about these Kittikuk Speaks videos. So we are making these, we're asking folks to make these really short, about 30-second videos saying, we have the language for it saying basically like migratory fish have been blocked from the river for too long and I support bringing them back. So we'd love to share that script with you. And if you wanted to come to the parade, we'll have a table of someone helping us video you at the parade. So we can take these little 30-second videos, put them all together, and then we can make this really wonderful video that shows the diversity of support from different people and different organizations, all working on supporting fish passage and bringing these migratory species back. So very excited about that. At the end of the video, it says, I am Kittikuk, you are Kittikuk, we are Kittikuk. So it'll be a great group of videos put together. Here are just some pictures from the parade we had last year. We totally encourage fun crafts. If you have a fish costume, if you want to make something, we'll also have a couple of extra things to share with you. Of course, you can just color and bring your fish with you, or you can color them at the parade. Different pictures of the dancing. It looks like beautiful weather again for Sunday, so we are very lucky on that. A lot of people just kind of stop by as well because it's right in Pawtucket. Be a day. So there's some of the like sneak previews of us working on different things. So we'll have this fish will not just be so plywood. We'll get it colored for you, and you can put your face in and take a photo with the fish. Kaylee's making this really amazing CD glitter fish. Hashtag parade. Getting all those in. National Park Service has this amazing giant park ranger, which will have another like 3-foot tall fish head on top of it. So it's going to be a fun time. We're also incredibly excited, and kudos to Kaylee for organizing this. Sherry Pocknett is the first Indigenous woman to receive the James Beard Award for her Indigenous cuisine. She has a restaurant in Charleston, Rhode Island called Sly Fox Den, and she is going to be doing a pop at the event. So we'll be able to try all of her amazing food. We'll also have ice cream and frozen lemonade there. Oh, really great event. I probably have talked about it a lot for you guys. We're running through some dates for the Bikeway Greenway. Is there anything that folks have heard? I know CMRPC, you'd had an update last time about you'd applied for a grant and I think didn't get it, but I didn't know what your plans were moving forward on that.
Yeah, I think my coworker Carrie said that they're gonna be um yeah, I don't have like a complete update on that yet, but I know that they're like planning to apply for some more grant funding. I think for with mass trails, I think grant funding, but I'll have to ask for a more recent update on that because I know that they're still having conversations.
Yeah. No, let us know. And if there is like a work meeting or a brainstorming session that you want to do, where we can help you bring together partners and talk about what priorities are. I know this is something that came up as a pretty important topic in last month's meeting when we met with the Narragansett Bay Estuary Program, and Darcy facilitated that conversation about what their priorities are within their CCMP and how the Blackstone priorities could be incorporated in. The bikeway was definitely one that we wanted to be able to focus more on, especially in Massachusetts.
Cool, good to know. I'll reach back out to Carrie again.
Great. We don't have any university work, I think, right now. I know school is winding down right now. Does anyone else have specific work that they're doing with different universities that you wanted to bring up?
Yes, Steph, I do.
Yeah.
Because it can come up in other updates. We're working with Cook's Pond. The BRC is going to be applying for a 319 grant. We're engaging Bob Hartzell, but bless his soul, Professor Bill Subject is providing his time and energy and his students at no cost to a biological assessment of Cook's Pond. So this grant is an environmental justice. It's a 319, but with only soft implementations. And it's focused on getting fishing rods in the hands of the youth in Worcester. So a small grant, if we don't get it, this partnership should get it somewhere else. So I'm psyched.
That's great. And what university are they associated with?
Bill Subject is Holy Cross.
Holy Cross. Okay,
He
great.
is the urban stream syndrome expert. So he's our man.
Awesome. That's a wonderful connection. Good to hear.
In addition, Worcester State has been studying this pond for several years. So Heather is working closely with the existing, I've forgotten her name. So we're creating this partnership. It's a win-win all around. So Worcester State for sure. And
Perfect.
Dan can talk more if he.
Laura Reynolds is the professor at Worcester State.
Wonderful. And have you guys also spoken to Nathan Algren? I think he's also done some research in Tatnick Brook with his students on invertebrates.
Yeah, I think he's been working with Laura on that project. I mean, he's part of the Tatnick Brook Watershed meetings. So he's definitely connected.
Perfect. That's what we love to hear. Instead of, I have no idea who's that.
Actually, I was just talking to Laura yesterday about, the need to kind of get all folks connected in the at least the Worcester County here that are all doing these different things. So I don't know, maybe I'll work with her to put together some sort of water, I don't know, seminar collaborative of collection, so anyways.
Yeah, we actually hosted something at Clark 3 years ago now that was just trying to get different groups, different universities and professors together around water quality and climate resilience in the watershed. And we had about 6 different universities attend. It's pretty successful. So I think
it sounds like she would be interested in that. I think they all, they're just busy, right? The professors, they can never have a chance to kind of network and get together, but it definitely sounds like there's a need, at least here in Worcester, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. Peter.
Yeah, sorry to be the old dinosaur in the room, but Professor Catherine Roberts, must have been 15 years ago, initiated the collaborative. She brought together professors from all the institutions. So I'm sorry, Bill Matson's not on the, so there's a history there, but we need to keep pushing on it. So thanks, Steph, for making it happen.
I haven't made anything happen yet, but I can definitely help work on that if it's something we want to do. We have a good contact. Sure. So for fish passage, We do have, as we've mentioned, I think in previous meetings, we do have a Fish Passage Community Advisory Group that we meet once a month down in Providence at DEM. And we have not yet made a new web page for on the collaborative site to kind of share those meeting notes and updates because we're waiting for some documents to get completed. So DEM is working on making like a question and answer document, a one pager on what is Fish Passage, a one pager on sort of the updates of the 4 lowest dams that we're looking to get around to get migratory fish up to Lonsdale Marsh. So I'm hoping that those will be done within the next month or so, hopefully by the next meeting. And then we can help share all of that information and make that website. But we do have notes from those advisory meetings. So in the interest of transparency, we'd like to be able to publish those somewhere and share them with you. A lot of the conversations right now are more focused on, you know, what is the easement and, you know, what's the status of that? How is this redevelopment going? There's a lot of redevelopment happening in Pawtucket right now, right around this Fish Passage, which could be really exciting to bring a lot of attention to the neighborhoods and have it very river focused. But there's a lot of details to figure out. One thing that I do want to mention is we have some funding from SWIG, from the SNAP Watershed Implementation Grant, that we're going to be using to host a public meeting. So we don't have the details of this figured out or shared yet, but probably in July, we're going to be talking about Elizabeth Webbing Dam, which is the one in this photo here. And we know that the state of Rhode Island would like to create a public park there. And there's also conversations with Pawtucket about potentially being interested in having a public park. So we'd like to hear from the public about, you know, what do you want to see? What's important to you? Is it a community garden? Is it a bike rack station? Is it a statue? Or is it goodness knows? So you'll hear more from us coming up probably next month to plan that meeting in July sometime. And we'd love to get you all involved to think about how can we re-envision the area around Elizabeth Webbing Dam. They definitely want to be able to create portage access there for paddlers to be able to go around it. We definitely want to be able to create Fish Passage at some point. So if we're making those investments, what other investments can we make to make the community happy? Anything else on Fish Passage from folks that are maybe part of that? Okay. For water quality, we had a CSO event yesterday. It was relatively small, and the whole event was treated within the Worcester's Quinsigamond facility, so no untreated water went through into the Blackstone. Are there other water quality updates that folks want to share? I know Cooks is applying for a 319. CMRPC worked with the collaborative and Horsley Witten as well as BRWA and BRC. Thank you, to put together also a 604B application. So our goal, if we receive that funding, is to create a watershed-based plan at the really big scale of all of the Massachusetts side of the Blackstone. If we receive that funding, we'll also be exploring other funds from 2 other groups from the SNAP network and or the Narragansett Bay Estuary program to get funds to continue that work into Rhode Island. So we intend, hopefully, if we get the grant, to do a watershed-based plan for the entire 5-state Blackstone watershed, which would be really exciting. It's a little bit more zoomed out, but it's a great starting place to kind of get folks on the same page. Does anyone else want to add anything else about that grant or water quality in general?
Steph, in Heather's absence, a brief update on the coalition's water quality testing. We have had our second monthly sample, so 2 out of 8 on the second Saturday. All systems, all sites, 75 have been collected. We got all of our volunteers and the 3 labs geared up. Heather has also been training a site upstream of Cooks, bring back Dawson. Well, actually, yes. So a couple sites that we're going to test, but maybe not adopt as our long-standing sites, but for like a pop-up purpose, for the purpose of the grant, to get a couple other sites. That's it, I guess, for now.
Great. Anyone else?
I would just say it's in rumor stage, but I'm not hearing too much about the Woonsocket treatment plant catastrophe, in my opinion, when you have the city owning it and two contractors who might have conflicting interests operating different sides of the same system. And I know the lawyers are involved, and I imagine there's going to be some fines coming from Rydam, but whatever we can do to, I don't know, do you ignore it? Do you try to push? Who do you talk to? All I know is what I read in the call and what John Marsland tells me is rumor.
Yeah, I've kind of heard the grapevine that some steps, some supplemental environmental plans, projects are going to be assessed for that incident of Woonsocket having the wastewater untreated and having those facility malfunctions with untreated wastewater going into the river for like 12 days last year. But I haven't heard any definites. That's a good question, and maybe there's an opportunity for us to reach out to, oh, I'm going to forget his name, the surface water quality guy at DEM that did a presentation for us before. So maybe we can ask DEM if there's like an official update that they can provide to us.
Well, to be honest with you, I should probably put in a call to Mike DeBroyce. I don't know if he would talk to me, but when lawyers are getting involved, usually, unless you're friends with someone, that the communication shuts down. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, even if they can provide us with something of, this is still under investigation, we anticipate knowing more by this date, something would be helpful because it's been quite a while. On dams and connectivity, so we keep supporting Dam Busters as an event. So they have these monthly meetings on different topics, and the next one is on June. Yep. We also are working with Mass ECAN, the Ecosystem Climate Adaptation Network. They're also about to kick off a new working group on dams and ecological restoration. So we'll have more on that soon. But if you're interested in joining that group, just let us know. We haven't figured out how often they'll meet or any of the details on it yet, but they'll be planning different site visits, field trips this fall. So you'll hear more if you're registered with Mass ECAN. If you're not, you can go to massecan.org and sign up for updates. They're really great. They send you a monthly newsletter. It's really informative. It's very focused on climate adaptation and land kind of combination together. Maybe I'll also mention, so we had talked a lot about Elizabeth Webbing Dam, and there was this potential hydro developer that was interested in adding hydro back to Elizabeth Webbing, which the state who owns the dam did not support. The state has filed a letter with FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, as well as that applicant, to let them know that they do intend on putting a public park at Elizabeth Webbing, which reduces, I think, the likelihood that the applicant would receive their FERC license. So it's nice to have that in writing and written out. And FERC has acknowledged, and the applicant has acknowledged that they've received that. Anything else on kind of dams connectivity? We also will be hosting, which we haven't figured out timing for yet. We've got a lot going on. But we'll also be hosting one more culvert training. So if you're interested in having culverts assessed, if there's a particular one in your community, let us know. We've reached out a little bit and haven't heard back. So I think I might be keeping some of you again soon to see if maybe we can work with you on setting up some culvert things in your community. It's probably late to Heidi.
So I don't know if this is the appropriate point since you're talking about restoration stuff. Just want to mention all the work we've been doing, continuing to do with many other organizations on working to try to speed up and streamline permitting for all sorts of restoration, dam removals, culverts, every different kind of restoration, invasive plants, etc. So working with DEP and Mass Wildlife and some federal agencies and many nonprofit partners. A bunch of us submitted comments on the recent DEP regulatory round. There was a sign-on letter that I think 20 something organizations signed on to. And we did a separate one on salt marsh and another one on mosquito control. So lots of work on this. CLF and Mass Audubon issued a report. We had done a survey last year of many different people about all of this, and so we produced a report and we shared that with DEP as well. And the conversations continue forward with, they're talking about 2.0 round. So you were kind of making like very small incremental progress. And I think the agencies are starting to see like a lot of this is very time consuming and not value added for them as well. But we really need still to get to that higher level EEA coordinating across the agencies. The biodiversity initiative has big draft goals for restoration in it. And we really are going to need to make things much easier if we're going to achieve those goals. If you look at the Resilient Mass Plan Action Tracker and you search the actions on restoration, there's over a dozen different wetlands restoration, streamlining like actions across a bunch of different agencies in there. So I think that also makes the case like all of this needs to be coordinated at a higher level. So just like trying to share that with everybody I can, and we continue to mention it at every opportunity with every state agency and partner, and hoping to finally shake something loose to really make bigger things happen. But we, even incremental progress is still progress. And by the way, I just want to say I'm thrilled with the DER reorganization and increasing capacity, and because that's a really important piece of all this as well.
It absolutely is. And Carrie, I don't know if you want to say anything on that of what that new department or division looks like, or if you want to hold on.
Yeah, I'd be happy to maybe during the updates, I can give a quick update.
We're almost there. So, oops, I clicked on that link. Stop sharing for 1 second. It timed out on me. There we go. We mentioned this about CSO. I didn't mention, so the collaborative has also started a CSO working group. We've only met twice now. If you haven't been a part of that and you're interested, please let us know. We meet every other month, so our next meeting will be July 10th. And we are focusing right now just on like, what do we need? What information is out there? How do we be most effective in reducing CSO impacts on our watershed? So thinking about organizing, like being more clear about what's happening now, thinking about educational materials and campaigns that we can assist the city, whether it's Worcester or Pawtucket Central Falls with. We probably a lot more just kind of basic 101 information we need to share because folks don't realize what combined sewer overflow is, or in those neighborhoods when it happens, what it means. So it's definitely something we're working on. If you're interested, let us know. And then the last thing was an announcement.
Stephanie, can I just interrupt for 1 second on CSOs? Just a different wrinkle to all of this, and I don't know if this is affecting folks down in Rhode Island as well, but there's new rules for aquaculture that were adopted in Mass, but they really came down from the feds about needing buffer zones to areas with CSOs for harvesting. Like, if you're harvesting oysters and going to be selling them for consumption, that it takes into account the impact of CSOs. And there was a huge outcry from the aquaculture companies down off of New Bedford complaining about how this was going to be so costly to them and really affect their business. But they were not, I'll find the article and put it in the chat. They were not complaining about the CSOs themselves and the impact on the water resources. What they were complaining about was this rule that was not going to allow them to sell oysters within a certain number of days after a CSO.
Well, that sounds like common sense to me. Yeah, that probably isn't Blackstone specific because we don't have oyster harvesting until you get out of our watershed down into the Narragansett Bay itself. So that would be more relying on what CSOs are in Providence, which they've mitigated a lot with their new tunnel. But yeah, that sounds like something that would be common sense of don't eat oysters after a CSO event. Okay, good to know. Happy to look at that one. The last update that we had to share was DEM having a new $1 billion green bond. So the different awards throughout Rhode Island, including some in the Blackstone in Burrville, protecting a chunk of land there. I think with the Burrville Land Trust, maybe. I don't know if anyone has other information on that. Yeah, I'll pause here, and if folks have up, or Carrie, if you wanted to jump in, or others, let us know. Yeah, Donna, go ahead. Oh, you're on mute, Donna. Sorry. I thought you were just taking your time, but there you go.
This is an update for the Blackstone Heritage Corridor. We're kicking off our fundraising campaign and we're having an event on May 30th from 4:30 to 6:30 on the Blackstone Bikeway in Blackstone, Massachusetts. And the name of our campaign is Blackstone Heritage Corridor Legacy Campaign, Reimagining Our Future. So we invite you all to come. I'll send the invitation to Stephanie and maybe she could send it out to everybody. We'd love to have you join us. There's a segment of the bikeway now, that last half mile between Blackstone and Woonsocket is under construction. So pretty soon we're going to pound in the golden spike at the state line. So of course there's the whole segment between Millbury and Uxbridge, but we're all working on that. But we would love to have you join us. And we ask that you RSVP by the 23rd of May. So it's going to be a picnic on the bikeway. So thank you.
That sounds wonderful. I'm in Maryland for a work event for another grant that we received. It's a retreat. So I'm very sorry that I will not be there, but it sounds great. And we are happy to share that information.
Thank you.
And very exciting. Do you know what the timeline is of that that last golden spike, quote unquote? Like summer?
I heard this fall, but I don't know if that's accurate or not.
We can say it's a goal, right?
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay. We'll have to definitely have an event for that. Other updates that folks have? Carrie, do you want to talk about? Oh, yep.
If I could, I don't know if we're going to be talking about recreation, but you shared the pictures with throwing the canoe in the river, and that's great. And I hate to be a Debbie Downer in the room, but training as a ranger to train people in canoeing on the Blackstone, it was one of the scariest events of my life taking a crowd of 20 people from Fisherville south in the month of May. It is a different river in Massachusetts than it is in Rhode Island. Rhode Island, we have to constantly alert people to the tubes. I don't want to remind people of the father and son who died tragically there not so long ago. I don't want to discourage people from using the river, but there's also the issues of the stretch from Plumbers to Riverbend Farm. That should be our ideal thing. I don't know if you can get through there. You can get stranded there pretty easily. And I don't know, Donna has tipped over in towards Saundersville. So it's a scary river with strainers in Massachusetts, especially in high flow in the spring. So I don't know how we subtly get that message out.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's not the easiest river to paddle. It's the first river I ever paddled. I'd done flatwater and ocean and, you know, really big ponds with whitecaps, but never a river. So I learned a lot on our 2022 expedition. Would say that there's definitely a lot of prep and caution. We wouldn't say everybody should go out on the river, right? It's you should go out with someone who knows it, and you should have the appropriate materials and safety gear. And when we are planning our paddle with the public portion is not even technically on the Blackstone at that point. It's on the Pawtucket or the Seekonk. So it's a very easy stretch that we're bringing the public on. We're not inviting the public on our 48, 60 mile, whatever, very long paddle. For a lot of reasons of liability, of challenge, of, you know, a lot. So I agree with you. And when we made the paddle guide, which is actually going to print and we'll have for you soon to share, it specifically says we don't recommend folks going to Plummer's Landing because of all the strainers and because of the complexities and windiness of the river. It's very easy to get lost. Yeah, Peter.
Well, that's my concern. I'm not so concerned with groups or you. I'm just concerned with whatever we might have on the web or whatever, you know, people hear about and they think they know the river. It's a different river in the summer than it is in the spring. This is a flashy river. And so yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so for the paddle guide, we definitely have a lot of caveats and precautions on there saying, you know, go check the stream gauges, make sure you have all the safety equipment, make sure you know the river, go do like land reconnaissance first. There's definitely a lot of prep involved, but it's a really wonderful, beautiful place, you know, if you can do that part. Anything else that folks want to share? Okay. Sorry, I just saw Carrie had to pop out and save a snapping turtle across the street, and she'll be back. Yeah, I know we don't have a ton of updates for you this time, and we had a small group. We had a lot of folks saying they were away this week and had a lot of other events they couldn't attend. But yeah, I don't know if we want to carry a couple minutes and then hear about the Division of Ecological Restoration. That also might just be a topic for future presentation. Maybe that's the best way to do that. And then we get a little bit more of a formal presentation about what that new capacity division is about. Yeah, Peter. You're on mute, Peter. Or did you want to add anything else in?
I'm sorry. The BRWA had a wonderful family fun fishing day the other week. It's become an annual event. To see the smiles on those kids' faces, it's so wonderful that the state provides that. It's an awesome setting. So kudos to the BRWA and used to be Alternatives. I'm forgetting the name of the company now, but great partners.
Yes, definitely. And I know that if you missed that one, I know Friends of the Blackstone is also having another Teach a Kid to Fish Day, I think they call it, on June 30th. So I don't have more information than that, but if you're interested, you can reach out to John Marsland. I think it's at Friends of the Blackstone down in Cumberland, and they'll offer similarly, not as big of an event, but they'll offer fishing poles for kids and teach them.
And Stephanie, I just bought a smartphone, so I'm using Facebook now. So watch out. It could be dangerous.
Wow. Very exciting, Peter. Congratulations.
Right. So it's all about sharing. So there's going to be pulling of chestnuts on Lake Quinsigamond. So John Marsland is bringing canoes on my birthday, July 20th. Come on down and let's pull some weeds. So there's a lot happening.
Yes, that's actually a good point too. And I don't know, Kaylee, if you or others have all of those dates listed out somewhere of when all the water chestnut pulls are, but those are coming up to a good point.
I don't have them on hand, but I can add them into our notes. Definitely. Yeah, there's quite a few coming up. So.
Great. All right. Well, I don't want to keep you guys if we don't have other things. And we hope to see you this weekend. 1 to 4 Slater Mill. I'll say it the 17th time. And we'll see you at next month's meeting, which will be first, right before the summer solstice. I think that is the summer solstice.
Great. And Stephanie, Martha Shields is going to be in touch about potentially doing something for the RCP gathering.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Okay.
Was part of that conversation.
Okay. Wasn't sure if you had heard about that because the meeting the other day. Okay.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Enjoy the spring.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.